This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenro radio playlist. zenroclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode.
Yep.
All right, so hopefully this one actually works now. Like no more choppiness in the podcast. I picked up a Amazon Ethernet connector. You know, it's funny, the fact that we're so spoiled in terms of technology. So remember when the last podcast, like 2 days ago or something, we were doing the podcast, and then we were talking after the podcast, like, oh, maybe I should just get like an Ethernet connector.
Yeah.
All right, that's when I ordered it. Actually, no, I ordered it the next day. I was thinking like, okay, I got to go to Best Buy, like something before the end of the week. And then in the morning, the next day, I was like, why don't I just look on Amazon? You know, it's like we're so spoiled in terms of our delivery system or like the convenience of products now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. This is funny to me because it's like, how can you battle that kind of convenience? I was talking to this one person. They're like, for a whole year, or like 2 years during COVID, they tried not to use Amazon because they're like, oh, I want to give like the money back to the small businesses. And then they went back to Amazon. I was like, yeah, you just can't beat the convenience. Like it's like compete or die, you know?
Yeah.
They're like logistical systems too sick. And the fact that, well, this is like spilling over to the first topic that I want to talk about, but it arrived yesterday on time. So like it said you will get it by Friday, but then there was like the crazy snowstorm that everyone's like bracing for. So I was like, okay, maybe it'll be like the next day, whatever. And then it actually arrived that day, and I was like, oh, the Amazon people do not take a break, you know? But okay, so the thing I wanted to jump this podcast off with was the storm of the century.
Okay.
So were you hearing that as well?
Yeah, that's the
narrative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I was hearing it was mainly at jiu-jitsu. Like I didn't really pay attention to it. Like I saw on social media like, oh, the snow is going to be crazy, you know, and then when I went to jiu-jitsu, but I was like, the first thought was like, it can't have been as bad as last year. Unless unless it was going to be. But
I think maybe I think it depends on the areas that you're in.
Okay.
Because it was like it was an interesting, because there's actual like weather terminologies they were using that are legitimate weather terminologies, but they seem like when it was raining and how quickly it turns into ice.
Okay. Like so that's what they were worried about.
The speed that it was going on, it's called like a weather bomb.
Okay.
So it's an actual term. So then, but then when you're using the word bomb, it's gonna
people freak out.
They're gonna come up with
Okay. So I was hearing, you know, this is the storm of the century at jiu-jitsu. The people that showed up at jiu-jitsu that day, we were like laughing because like martial arts will really brave the weather just to train. And one thing he's saying is like, I guess nobody here is afraid of the storm of the generation or something like that. And then he's like, I need to hire the marketer who works for the Weather Network for this one. And I was like, yeah, because we were being told, like I have Cross Canada like work, right? Like it's a national work. And what they were saying is like people in Ontario, you know, like you can definitely go get your groceries and whatever. And then I was like, I'm sure it'll be okay. And then when they kept predicting when it would start and it kept kept getting pushed back. So like one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, it's like it's gonna start at 5." And I was like, "It's 5, it's not snowing yet." And it's like, "Oh, it's actually 8." And then I was like, "Okay." So then I went to jujitsu, it was just rain. And I was like, when is this thing actually supposed to kick off? And then even the next morning, because I usually wake up early and it was like still raining. So I was like, when is this thing gonna turn to actual snow? And then I saw in my app that it was like gonna be like 10, right? And then when it hit 10, it started to snow, but it wasn't like the storm of the century, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. What about you on your end?
I don't know when you checked that weather when it was going to change to snow. It wasn't when I had seen it. It was like the next day at 10 a.m.
Okay, okay. I was hearing like 5, then 8, and
I think
then
it just because
it
it's
just kept
like
going.
yeah, it was like I think if they're speaking for Ontario, then there's other parts of it were probably already hit before that. If they're
Okay,
speaking of
okay,
Toronto, because we had like a pocket of warmth,
okay.
that's the reason why it was still rain.
Okay, okay, I got it. So it's just like,
Because if you saw the
yeah, yeah,
if you saw the news, was it yesterday? I guess yeah, like in London, like the 100 car crashes, like
yeah, okay, yeah.
so that was like
But
the
like,
that was the
but
flash
like,
freeze, right? I think is due to
for
that.
sure, for sure. But like you shouldn't be driving that fast. Anyways, I saw some like videos of like, do you see that one? I don't know if I
I saw
sent
the
it
truck
to.
video.
Yeah, yeah, and then he like as he was going, it's like a horror scene because like all of a sudden it popped out of nowhere. You're like, what? But if I was going that fast too, it's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be driving that fast in a snowstorm.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a lot. Like, have you never been here before?
Hmm.
You know? Yeah, I don't know. I found it kind of weird because it was a little lackluster. And then the funny part was like they were not locking, they were like shutting stuff down right early, like school systems, TTC,
Yeah.
all
They
that,
yeah
right?
they did yeah.
And and then what my sister sent me was this video of this person being like, "Oh, they couldn't get us to like lock down because of
Oh
COVID.
right, that one.
So now they're like using weather systems." And I'm not I can't like choose a side on that one, but it is a little iffy. I was like, that's a little weird that
No, I don't think so. I think it was. I
okay.
think if anything, it's like overreacting based on the last year's storm that was unexpected.
See that one, all right, yeah, for sure. Like
I
last
think
year's
I think
storm was
that's what makes
pretty
more
crazy.
sense to me, where it's more like that one last year, nobody expected that much snow.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so
So
that's what I
I
was
think I think
expecting.
it's more of an overreaction to
Yeah,
prevent
okay.
that.
Right, 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 right. That's what I was expecting again. I was like, okay, it's gonna be like that.
Yeah.
And
So
then
I
when I
think
saw the snow, I was like, what?
because yeah, I think that because they're using words like storm of the century, maybe just I don't know what that
Mm,
means, right? Does that mean like it's a huge storm, like the like the area that it's covering
yeah.
versus the amount of snow,
Yeah, 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 and I mean
right?
like it's framing.
Yeah, and then like using words like weather bomb, right? What does that
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
mean when it's not really? It doesn't mean it's a bomb of snow. It just means the change in climate super
Mm.
fast is called a bomb in
So
their
it's like an
terminology.
explosion.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's like if you don't understand, well, if it's yeah, most people won't understand what those things mean, right? Unless you like
Yep, right,
look
right. And
into
then you
the
take it
meaning
out of
of it.
context. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So like
Yeah.
that's the so using all that, it's more like um thinking of like last year's storm,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think I heard on the news too, where it was like one of the persons you're speaking to was like, "Oh, we're more than ready for this."
Yeah, okay, okay. That's all right. So that's what my sister was saying. I was gonna get into that after.
Mm.
So um she was saying that okay, because I went out in the snow because I was like, okay, let me just buy a couple things. Like, I don't know how bad this thing will be, just in case it turns. She's gonna get some snacks. So like I drove and I was like, okay, it's a little slippery, but like not too bad. And then I walked to the store and that was pretty tough. Like the
Yeah,
snow was like hitting my eyes. Like it was kind of like it wasn't soft snow, it was kind of like melted snow. So it was like sharp, you know?
yeah.
And then the wind was like blowing me around
That was the
the
main thing.
area.
The main thing was the wind. It's
Right,
not about
okay,
the snow. It's about the wind because it's
right.
turning into like that in between water and ice. So that's what's
Which made it
hitting.
more dangerous.
Yeah,
For sure, for
yeah.
sure. So like I was like, is this how bad it's gonna get? And then I messaged my sister like, this is not that bad. And then she was saying that on the news that morning. She's like, yeah, they said it wasn't gonna be bad. I'm like, then why is everyone overreacting? Like they said on the news, like if it wasn't for the wind,
You know,
this would just be another
I think
snowstorm.
this seems like a lot of it's the social media news, right?
I
That's what
right?
that was.
And for sure. And that's what it got me thinking. It's like things like this, things like COVID, like we're really seeing now the power of information at hyperspeed.
Hmm.
And like so like I heard it was like the storm of the century from jujitsu. And then I was seeing all this stuff on social media. I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna be bad, but I didn't buy into the hype because I'm like, whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's not, like we survived last year, right?
Hmm.
And then her being like, they didn't say it was gonna be that bad on the news. So then I was like, okay, so where did this all start? Like the fact that you closed down TTCs, schools, like I get it. It would have been difficult to pick up your kids, but how is that any different than just like a regular snow day back in the day? Like
Hmm.
we've had snow days back in the day when we were kids.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna take the bus. It'll take extra long. Do you like
But
you
didn't
lived
they
yeah.
wasn't Thursday the actual last day
A what?
of
A
school?
snowstorm? I don't know. I thought it was Friday.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not in that world, so.
I thought it was Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's like maybe there are schools that were open, but I don't know.
Maybe like daycares, stuff like that.
Maybe like that.
Yeah. But do you remember like you didn't really live far from school, but I like kind of missioned to school. And I remember these snow days and we would just take the TTC home. Like it would just take like an hour
Right? Yeah,
longer.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it's because they always say like there's that idea that we're more resilient back then than we are now. Right? People are like, oh, we're weaker now. We're like as we're getting into this age, like everyone's so soft, right? I don't know if it's being soft or is it like a lack of information? Because if we had that same information back then and everyone was being told, oh, it's the snore of the century, we'd all freak out
I
too.
think
We
so.
just
Yeah.
didn't have that, right? We just didn't
Yeah,
have that
yeah,
information.
yeah.
So we were like, oh, it's snow day. All right, cool. Go to
Hmm.
school,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't
And
think
like,
we. I mean, we were kids. We never paid attention to the news. We
no, like,
just like we just like wake up and see how it's outside and we go. That's all.
totally, right? Right. For sure, for sure. And then I think the news was a lot slower back then and they were
Hmm.
more conservative. Well, I mean, I'm sure the news is still conservative, but it's like you said, it's like a social media issue.
It's a social
Like
media.
social media is making it so quick that
Hmm.
like we're overriding what the news is saying. We're all just like hyping up the
Yeah.
snow storm of the
Yeah.
century. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird to me. Like that it's like the double-edged sword thing again. The access to information is great, like Amazon when we talked about in the beginning. Like internet's amazing,
Hmm.
but we need some sort of like not regulation, but something like it's sort of like when you like, all right, let's think of it like a business problem. You see a gap in the system, you want to fix the gap. And it's like so
Hmm.
evident that social media is creating incorrect narratives.
Yeah, because everybody's a newsman, right? That's the
Yeah,
problem.
right. And it's like, but I guess that's what they're trying to do with those whole like this could be false information, blah blah
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the problem with that though is it's not vetted by individual people, it's vetted by um algorithms.
Yep.
So you're bound to get things wrong. Like that's where conspiracies come in. Oh, they're trying to silence me.
Hmm.
But it's like they're not really trying to silence you. The algorithm just picked up on it in a way that it was flagged.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like no individual's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's silence this person.
No.
It's just how it
Hmm.
happens. And I've noticed that social media people now they'll if they type something because they know about um reading reading your type, like your text. So like if you put text on an image, it can still read it.
Hmm.
Because the reading software has become really good. Like if you look at iPhones, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Take a photo, you can scan it, right? So what they've started to do is they put crosses over words that they know get flagged. Like COVID, they'll put like a X through COVID, or like an emoji where the O should be,
Right.
because then the algorithm can't read that word. And I was like, oh, that's a smart
Yeah. But then
workaround
you
against the algorithm.
true. But then eventually, like you
The
teach the
algorithm will
algorithm
get,
that.
yeah, for
So you
sure.
gotta keep. It's more like it's the battle. Like where can I?
Right.
It's always trying to figure out the loopholes.
I wonder if that's like the
But then
new age version.
but then that's just gonna make AI even more smarter.
Yeah, right. Because then they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're trying to trick me, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see it." But I wonder if that's the battle we're having now. Remember before when we were kids, the battle was piracy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, how do we like hack the system to get what we want for free, right?
Okay.
That's what we did right? That's what we did when we were kids. And then now it seems like, how do you game the system? That's like the new battle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Does that makes sense,
No, that
right?
makes
Like
sense.
you
Yeah.
could see that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder what that's gonna breed out of the next generation from this, because you're not really taking because we're so convenient now that we can just get what we want at a relatively low cost,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we don't need it's almost like before when it'd take like 4 hours to download one song on like Kazaa, right?
Yeah.
And but now it's like just pay 14.99 a month, you get all the songs. And you're like, oh, that's made more convenient,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So they adapted because of the gap in the market,
Yeah.
right? They're like, oh, we need to fix this problem.
Mm-hmm.
So then they like create a whole new model. I wonder what the next, like in 10, 15 years, what that thing will be that we're going to
Mm-hmm.
look back on and be like, oh, that's what they did to fix that. Or
Right.
like that innovation came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, any thoughts on like what you think it could be?
I don't know. It's hard to predict
Mind
those
reading?
things. It's hard to
It's like
predict. Yeah. You're.
context. There's something about context there that I see. It's like you need to fill in the context or
No,
like
I think
the,
it's the awakeness of AI. I think
okay.
by understanding
What do you
us,
mean?
understanding what we're doing, like it'll
So you
adapt to the changes automatically, versus like you can't fool it anymore.
Oh, so you think that's gonna be the new thing in the future? It's
Yeah,
like you
I think
can't
they're trying
trick.
to. Yeah, I think when we keep doing is trying to find loopholes, is means you're trying to make AI adapt. That's where AI just becomes
Yes.
human.
Yes. Okay. All right. Question. This is a great thought experiment. Okay. Let's. All right. Before I ask that question, let me take it one step back. So it's essentially like playing chess. You know how the greatest chess master can't beat the
Hmm.
the AI version of chess, right? Um, I'm pretty sure you can't beat him now. But the reason why that chess game got so good is because it would keep playing out millions and millions of iterations of the game
Hmm.
and they would learn from the past,
Yeah.
right? So before you do any move, it knows like 20 potentials of what you're going to do and then how to counter those things,
Yeah.
right? So that's how it's learning,
Hmm.
which indirectly is kind of funny because that's actually I never understood why they said jujitsu is like chess, and then I was like, as I got better at it, I'm like, oh, I get it. I know your reaction, and I know counters to your reaction.
Hmm.
So it is like a chess game, like strategies. Anyways, that's a side note. But like if we keep going like in this way where it's like problem solving, problem solving, problem solving, and it becomes so smart, will it become human, like you said, or is it just a problem solving machine? But then it asks the question as well, are humans just problem solving machines?
Yeah.
Like what makes a
Yeah. Yeah.
human?
Yeah. It's
You
trying
know,
to.
because you
It's making us or figuring us out in the machine way, like because we
no
are.
no, but right. But I'm like
You know.
maybe that is what we are. We
Hmm.
are just like we are the algorithm.
Hmm. That there is an
Because
algorithm to us. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, that's what determinism is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've talked about it
Yeah.
multiple times. But like when people say like it's gonna become human, it's like if it's like the Turing test, right? If it sounds like a human, it's indistinguishable from a human. Why do you not call it human?
Hmm.
Right? So like maybe it is already human, just a lower form of human.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe not human, but
Yeah.
like it is
Other.
alive,
Right. Right. Right.
right? Because how do you define something that's alive and not alive,
It depends. That's a hard question. Yeah, I think it's
right? If you poke it and it goes ow, and you're like, oh, it's alive, but it's like, no, we programmed it to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, but we're also programmed because
Hmm.
we have neural receptors that accept pain and tell us ow.
Yeah, exactly. And some people that don't have those pain receptors, they don't feel it.
Right. So they're just hardwired incorrectly,
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say
right?
incorrectly. That's just their
But like against the standard.
sure.
Like let's say there was like a standard way, they'd be like one of the defect ones that are like, oh, we
Mm.
forgot to add this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the standard programming,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah, when you really think about it like that, it's like I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw like that fitness video. Like I was like at the gym and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, so I posted a video and it was like, the real wealth is health and my life is a video game.
Hmm.
So like, and then the caption was about how life is the most immersive video game we have. And then if you think of us like robots, which we technically are under those definitions that we just described, it's like we are just playing in this like first person sim suit,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is the consciousness that's driving everything we do? You know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
no place to like pinpoint it. Sure, it can be a like a manifestation of our prefrontal cortex,
Right.
but what is like if that's who we are, this conscious being, that we can import that into other things, like
Hmm.
video games, like we've had this conversation before, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're playing God of War, who's playing God of War? Is
Hmm.
Kratos playing or are you playing?
Yeah, you're playing.
Right?
Yeah,
As Kratos.
that's
But
Kratos.
like
Yeah,
I'm playing as me,
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
playing as you.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, right? I feel like I'm just gonna keep hammering this
It
one
just,
point
but
over and
I
over.
think that
It's so
goes into the yeah,
obvious.
yeah, yeah. That's why the simulation theory is there, right? So.
But it is a simulation though. Like, okay, nobody likes Kanye West right now, but he was definitely onto something. So his one video where he's like, this coffee table is not a coffee table, it's a fortress. Or it's a,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, a lamp,
Hmm.
it's like a desk, whatever,
Hmm.
whatever, right?
Hmm.
And then he was saying, like, that's the simulation. The simulation is everything we've agreed upon as a society for it to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, it could be anything,
Hmm.
right? And the simulation is believing that one thing is the thing just because somebody said it,
Yeah.
rather than using like your open-mindedness and being like, what else could it be?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure that's that? You know, going back to the storm of the century too, it's like the simulation was telling us stay inside, and then we're like, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Hmm.
And then the simulation again is trying to like fix itself by being like no, we didn't say that. You know, like oh, the storm systems, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like weird. It's a weird game.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Do you see that too, or
Being a weird game, or like,
you know, it's like oh, like be worried, and everyone got worried, and then it turns out it wasn't that bad. So now
hmm,
it's trying to like backtrack on itself. You know, with like oh, because they had a warm front in Ontario, so like this area didn't really get affected compared to like London, like you were saying in the beginning, right? And
yeah,
it's like those are just excuses for a mistake.
yeah, but I don't, whose mistake, right? That's the
The system's a mistake. It's like why do we all get freaked out?
right. Yeah, that's
Because
how.
of social media, like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. We're confused species, and this is a great example of the confusion.
Hmm.
This like snowstorm. Anyways, going into the
I don't know
DC
if it's
thing.
necessarily
Oh wait, okay.
I don't know what that means when you say confused species. I think it's just these are innate things in us that
No, no, no.
social
Oh, okay,
media.
okay. No, no, right, for sure, for sure. Confused species, as in our single source of truth. Like, where are you pulling that information from,
Hmm.
right? And our confusion is going to the loudest voice in the room versus the actual
Yeah, this.
science.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but the way that social media works is it's supposed to affect. It's
Algorithm based.
it's
So
algorithm
like
based, so it's using
attraction.
it's using your like um
So it's
your
like if everybody's liking
evolutionary
this,
things. Yeah, not liking this or the way that it's spread. You're more trusting of people,
it's like word of mouth.
word of mouth. Like it's using all those things that
Yeah.
um that works for us to trust things. So that's what was influencing it.
Yeah, all my friends are commenting that it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
All my friends are buying groceries.
Right. Yeah. And you tend to more
Yeah.
believe that than
Yeah.
necessarily a stranger, like on the
You know,
news, on a TV or something. Now that we don't trust media, like that's become the thing.
right. Trust others. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But it's funny because, like, if to go back to like our animalistic side and like why we evolved that way, those people that didn't listen to the tribe would have died. It's like we're
Mm-hmm.
all collectively
Yep.
trying to gain shelter here, you know? And then if you go out on your own, you become the outcast. It's like you have less resources for your own personal
Mm-hmm.
survival. So everyone's thinking about survival,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like literally in terms of the storm of the century, but just that's how we're hardwired to
Yeah.
like go with the loudest voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reaction is going to be like, oh, let's go. Like before the day of the storm, it's like everyone's going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to
So
do that.
I should probably go too. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I literally only got groceries when I saw the first snowfall. I was like, okay, maybe it'll turn now. Just let's be safe.
Yeah, right.
But like, it wasn't like I was preempting this thing that hadn't happened yet,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But I mean, also you have to like take it with a grain of salt because if the scientists were telling us like an earthquake's going to happen tomorrow, I'm not going to deny that. It's like it depends on where the body of information is coming from.
Yeah,
If
yeah, of
everyone's like,
course. Yeah.
yeah.
But
like
I'm not
most of
saying that
us just
social
have
media gets it always wrong,
Yeah, no. Yeah, true.
right? But then it becomes harder to know which you're more
Decipher.
leaning. Yeah, you're more leaning towards trust versus untrust
Well,
because
because
it's just
you're also like, where did social media get that information? Because you're just reposting the
yeah,
information,
yeah,
But where did it come from?
right,
Nobody asked, like, where did it
right.
come
And
from?
like a lot of the times it's like, well, they said that 3 days ago, but 2 days ago they changed that.
Ah, yes. It's like a lag in information. They just
Mm-hmm.
didn't update.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair. Yeah, especially when my sister was like, the news didn't even say it was gonna be that bad. I was like, oh, so why did we all think it was gonna be bad?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it must have been broken information.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't even hear about it until jujitsu.
Because you don't get always even on TikTok, you're not getting necessarily the latest.
You're right. Yeah,
or even the
you're
location. Because I'm seeing I was seeing all these images of people like sliding, and then it's
Okay.
like looking in the comments, it's like, oh, it's Seattle, it's not Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
So
Fair,
there's
fair.
like things like that too. It's like where was that news coming from?
Even the crash, right? Like I didn't even read where that the video of the
Mhm.
truck thing. I didn't even read where that was, and then I just swiped to see the video. I was like, oh, that's crazy, and I assumed it was close by
Yeah, it's like
because I was like, okay. But then you're like, oh, it's like in London. I'm like, oh, well, the roads aren't that great there either. So like, if it was like but I think I did see like 100 car pileup on the DVP.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think. But now I'm like distrusting my information. I'm like, I gotta double check that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't think I
anything
saw
else
that
that's
one.
fun?
I just saw only the London one. That was the 100 car.
The 100 car is
Yeah.
London. What was the DVP one I saw? Right, it wasn't even. Honestly, it wasn't. It wasn't that bad. Just drive like it's a snowstorm.
Yeah. Just drive slow.
Yeah, right. Like, of course, that guy who's gunning it down, and he's like, "Oh no!" and they crash. It's like,
Yeah.
of course, bro. Like you're gunning it pretty fast in a
Mhm.
snowstorm, and you could barely see in front of you. That was the other thing. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, you got to drive to the conditions. That's what they say, right? And
yeah.
if people don't understand that, then you're gonna get into problems.
But all right, you know what else it is too? It's like if you look at that one incident relative to how many other incidents there are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say, okay, yesterday we'll say there was like 100,000 people driving. Just give a ballpark. And then okay, 100 cars. So that's like a 1% accident rate.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was like 10 cars on the road and 5 of those cars crashed, it's like, okay, that's like a 50, that's considerable.
Right.
But like showing us one video and getting us all to freak out, it's like
But that's what sells,
the
though,
point of
right?
social media is.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, yeah. It's like framing,
Yeah.
right? Always goes back
That's
to
gonna grab
framing.
attention. 100 cars is gonna grab attention than saying 1%.
Yeah. You know what's funny about framing and like those statistics? I was talking to this person who I don't want to give it away, so I'll just like use general terms. I was talking to this person who has either a master's or a PhD, no, it's a master's degree in bioscience or something. And she was telling you about her, like that's a very like statistical oriented field, right? And then we were talking about like metrics in general, like how you can analyze marketing stuff. And then I knew from school that it's like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, what
Hmm.
do you want me to make the data say? You know, that's how we're taught, right? I've
Yeah, yeah,
had
of course. Yeah.
like
From the
literally
marketing
anybody
perspective, yeah.
from the marketing perspective. Like
Yeah.
I've taken a marketing degree and PR, and in both situations, they were like, "What do you?" They didn't say it like that though, But I was reading between the lines. It's like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were like, "Well, we take the statistic, and then one of the exercises was writing it in the positive and writing it in the negative."
Hmm.
So what's the obvious takeaway there? That it's all about framing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what do you want me to make it say? Right. That was literally one of her assignments. They're like, here's the statistic. It was like a exam question.
Hmm.
It's like write two versions of this thing. I was like, okay, it was easy. Right. And then what she was saying from a statistical point of view and um, like marketing statistics, she's like, we all know it's just BS anyways. And I laughed so hard. I'm like, yeah, it's what do you want me to make it say? But people who don't study it, they think it's real. And then from another point of view, it's like, how was the study conducted?
Hmm.
Was it like peer reviewed?
Yeah.
Was it a like double blind placebo?
Hmm.
Or are you just running this experiment in your office and then using that data because nobody's going to check the data?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, um, they're like, this will increase your muscle mass by twofold. But it's like, what study was that from?
Hmm.
It's like we just ran that in our
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
office and we're like, yeah, it worked. Yeah. Yeah. All right. How does it make you feel though? Like, do you feel like it's just like lies on lies? I feel like it's lies on lies.
Which one?
Like the statistical, like knowing that it's all about framing.
Lies. Well, you're technically not lying, right? You're just framing it differently.
Okay. See, even that was a frame. Even the way you said that was a frame. It wasn't even like it's a
Because lying means you're changing what it actually says.
going against the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Okay. How do you feel about that suggestive framing?
Uh, I think that just means that you should be smarter consumers.
Right. And then how many people know about suggestive framing?
The ones who are listening to this.
So then how can you be a smarter consumer?
Just like study.
But then it goes back to the question before this, how many people know about suggestive framing? See what I'm saying? It's like a feedback loop on itself. It's like we think, okay, you should know this, right? But it's like we're not privy to all the information,
Yeah, I
right?
think
And
this is what school is supposed to teach you. So
no, but you also don't even know what you don't know what to ask. So my
no,
example
I know what
is,
you're trying to. I know what you're saying.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
I
like
think
you're like, oh, school's supposed to teach you.
yeah,
I study marketing, but I have
yeah.
no idea about vitamin D, right? And I'm like, oh, we should have vitamin D, And then it's
I,
like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah, but
right?
that stuff is like that,
Universal. Like it's
yeah.
like
I think that's.
common. It's like it should be common knowledge.
I don't think it was common knowledge then, right?
No, it's not. No, no. That's what I mean. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is like there's a difference between um, knowledge that is taught, right? You're like, oh, you should learn that in school, and knowledge we should know as a collective species to advance society.
Hmm.
And I feel like these kinds of things are things that you should learn to advance society.
Hmm.
For example, like another one's like taxes. How does that work?
Yeah.
Or like government systems. I still like we had civics in school. You're always schooling me on how government systems work because I don't even know. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that
Or it's like having people around you that know certain things, right? Like if you
But
don't,
we're also not we're
we're
not
all,
privy to that though.
no, I know. I'm that's sometimes that's the detriment to where you're at in society, right? Or who your
Yeah,
friends
right.
are with. Yeah.
But I guess that's what they try to do with public schools, like a baseline of information.
hmm
But I feel like,
I think critical thinking should be the baseline, right? I think with critical thinking can come into these sort of,
but they never teach like what is critical thinking.
but it's supposed to come from science, right?
But they don't teach you that. But what is critical? Like, how would you define? How would you teach critical thinking in school?
Well, if it was coming from science, it's like how was the test done, or like you know what I mean? Like you're in
Yeah.
science class, right? I think that's where the critical thinking should be coming in,
Right, 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 right.
and then that could be
I agree with
applied
you
to other stuff.
for sure, for sure. But that's an elective, right? You don't actually
Well, not
learn science.
science, but biology.
No,
These are
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you get like science one, but then to actually really get into the intricacies of research and data, that's like electives in
hmm
school, you know? So if it's an elective, it means that not everyone's getting it. And also there's like applied and advanced. Do you remember that in high
yeah,
school?
yeah, yeah,
There's like
yeah.
two levels.
hmm
So it's like, okay, what are they teaching you in applied that they're not teaching you in advanced?
I don't know. I didn't take
I know.
applied.
No, that's my point.
Yeah.
It's like
What were
it's
the
like
same? What were the same things that
like
were not the
what's
same
the
things? Yeah. What?
lowest threshold, you know? And I
hmm
think that's why we have such disparity in like knowledge and information.
Sure. Yeah.
I was explaining economic systems to somebody. Oh wait, before I continue, how's the freeziness? Is it
No freezing
good?
at all.
Solved it. Is the Ethernet cord. Very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. Okay, so I think I'm gonna get a light here actually, because I keep going like in and out. And I think it's like my camera is trying to see how it's like it's
Well, yeah,
correcting
because
itself.
you zoom, you put your hand in front of it, right?
But I think if I put like a light, maybe it'll have a better time reading just me. I'm not sure. Well, anyways, that's like a technical thing.
Sure.
Um, oh, I lost my train of thought. Dang. What was I saying?
What, I don't know. Was it school? Was it? I don't.
Cool. Science. Hmm. Dang. That's what happens when you diverge. It'll come back to me, hopefully. Um, okay, you want to go into a DC thing?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Well, it was a very interesting thing to see like Henry Cavill was coming back, and then
Hmm. Yeah,
a
yeah,
month
that's real
later, a
funny.
month later, he's like, "Well, I guess I'm not coming back."
Yeah, what was that? That's the thing I was seeing when
So
we
I
were like
think
messaging this morning.
what I saw was, again, I don't know, how much do I trust the internet news? I don't know, but like what I saw was that it was a verbal agreement at the time when he did.
Rough.
I think the Rock one.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think the Rock wanted to shift it to be like him being the main DC guy, like from their
Oh,
like lead the
that's good.
DC into like adding and bringing back Superman, and then I don't know wherever the story of DC would go, but
He wanted to be the Captain America or the
mhm.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
I think Warner Brothers wanted a different direction. They wanted to. I think they're trying to figure out how to build this franchise again. So they're just scrapping the old
Okay.
and then starting fresh.
Hmm. Interesting. Because from what I saw, was they're rejecting Henry Cavill because they want to do young Superman.
Yeah, so they're, as I'm saying, like starting fresh.
Okay.
Having I don't know what they will exactly do because nothing's been written yet, right?
And this is the thing about Snyder Universe, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
gone.
done. It's done. It's
Yeah.
finished. I think
Wow.
even The Rock is gone. His stuff is done. It's scrapped.
Wow.
I think they're like starting from scratch. I don't think
And this
he's
is
not Black
because of
Adam anymore.
the
It's I
this is
think
because of the guy, right?
the what? Sorry.
The guy they brought in. The guy they brought in.
Yeah,
There's
James
like
Gunn.
the
James
yeah,
Gunn
okay.
and somebody else.
Wait, who did he write for? James Gunn.
James Gunn did
Thor?
Guardians.
Guardians. Okay, yeah, yeah.
I think no, didn't he
Oh,
do? I think he
okay.
did Suicide Squad too. Yeah.
Oh, darn. So they're leaving the mature theme for the youth
I
again.
don't know. No, he did the
Suicide
Suicide
Squad
Squad.
was
Was
that wasn't that like
oh, I liked it a lot.
The one with Joker as
No, no, not the one
Jared
with
Leto?
Joker.
Oh, which one?
The second Suicide Squad movie.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
I
No, I was
believe
thinking
he
about the
did. I
first.
believe he did that. So, or he was connected
Okay,
to
that's
that.
not bad. With Idris Elba and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So, uh, I think like the whole Snyder stuff is done.
Okay.
It's completed.
But then did you see Henry Cavill went back to um what was
Well,
that?
now he's
A
open.
new video game? No, no, a new video game
I don't think
he's
it's a video
greenlit
game.
on.
I believe it's like he was always into that board game, but I don't. It's very
Oh, board
early.
game. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
Warhammer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
Oh,
was
it's
the
a
one.
board
He remember
game.
he's like painting those figurines. Like he's like into that stuff.
Oh, okay, okay. Because the images I saw look like a 3D model. So I was like, oh, it's a video game?
I
Like
think
what?
there's
What is
probably
this?
people have done like CG images or
Renders of it?
videos of
Okay.
that. But I think it's from a board game, which I don't know anything about Warhammer. So,
Okay.
but I think
Yeah.
I believe he's like a super fan about it.
Okay.
But that's like super early, right? I don't think anything's been written.
Okay. I was hoping it would be like something like Gears, like that Warhammer thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you see the Bautista? I remember what I was gonna say, but I just want to finish this thought about Bautista. Bautista? The Dave Bautista.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about him?
Yeah, he wants to be in the Gears. I don't know if he got accepted yet, but he was posting like it's an obvious choice. Like me as the main guy. I love that guy. Honestly, like he's becoming quickly one of my favorite actors.
Mm-hmm.
Just like The Rock, like he's following the model of The Rock. And I saw his interviews. He's like thanking The Rock because like The Rock opened the door for allowing them to become,
The wrestlers to get in there. Yeah.
yeah. And him in Glass Onion. Have you seen it?
No, no, no.
Oh, I was hoping we would talk about it, or maybe we talk about it next week. But Glass Onion, he's just so good, and he's not even leaning on his like jackness anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think the Guardians did that.
Yeah, it, like really opened the door for
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
I can't remember what he said specifically, but I think he was sad. Or so they offered him another role to be Drax again, and he said no because he didn't want to be typecast into that kind of role. But he was so sad because he's like, this guy actually made my career. I think it was James Gunn too.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like thanking him,
Mm-hmm.
like he couldn't do another one after this next one. So I guess he's done. But he was saying like he just doesn't want to be typecast as like
Mm-hmm.
that because he wants to like branch out his career. And I totally I totally like where he's going with this, especially now that he's not relying on how jacked he is, like The Rock. It's like you're seeing his acting chops as a comedian,
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Glass Onion. You'll see it. It's like very funny. You kind of saw it in the zombie thing.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Zach's
It was,
movie. Zack Snyder.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know what that was called. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm liking him a lot. Oh, it's too bad because there's so much in Glass Onion that I wanted to ask you about. But if you watch it next week, we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
I'll watch it this week during this week, I think. Yeah.
You'll see what I mean
Yeah.
about Glass Onion. It's like, oh, well, we'll get into it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Dave Bautista thing goes into. Oh, anything else about DC? You want to say?
Yeah, so just starting from scratch.
Okay.
I think that's the
I,
thing. Or like there's a rumor of the Black Superman. There was that.
ooh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. It'll be
So
interesting to see where it goes because with this whole PC kind of world thing, and like you see Disney totally doing it on their end. I wonder where they're gonna take it. I hope they don't make it like childish. That would suck.
we'll see. I don't know what
You know
they
what I mean?
have.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it felt like
Whatever they're trying to do
like
is,
Mega Man.
well, whatever they're trying to do is to, first of all, get the audience right. If they can keep the audience,
That's the thing.
that's all that matters to them, as long as that
But then
works.
like for you and I, it's like it's the end of our era. Like we were talking about with Avengers, Age of Ultron. It was no Avengers Endgame. What was the one?
Endgame.
The last one? Endgame. Yeah. So after that, we both kind of felt like, oh, it's kind of done. Our like
Hmm.
you and I's generation's kind of over. Now they're like resetting towards a younger audience, and it's like it's pretty obvious with like Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Like they were focusing on it seems like very youth focused
Hmm.
again. Miss Marvel, like they
Hmm.
really want to tap into a new audience. I just hope they don't. And you and I were both like, we're holding out for DC because it seems like they're keeping to our generation, but could be not.
We'll see how it goes. I don't know what James Gunn and those guys have planned. We'll see. I don't, if they're gonna.
Well, the Batman is still good. DC still got like some of those,
Hmm.
but that's not a James Gunn thing.
No, I don't know
That's
if that
like
will
completely
be.
independent.
It's yeah.
It's not canon.
DC and Warner Brothers in a tough, like they're in a tough spot. Like, how do we build this universe?
Yeah, for sure. You know what? You know what it is. Too. Marvel has built an actual universe,
Hmm.
right? Like everything's
Yeah,
connected.
yeah,
Whereas DC still has like the Snyderverse is connected, but then you have these like offshoots of like the Joker, the
yeah,
Batman.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's why it's like they're
how do you bring them all
those.
together into
Yeah,
one?
they want to bring them all together, but I don't think they all work together.
Maybe you can't. Maybe you
Yeah.
can't because you have to like hit different audiences. Like the Joker, I'm very excited for Joker too. When they cast Harley Quinn as what's her name, Lady Gaga,
Oh, okay.
I was like, that's cool because she does have like that dark edge to her.
Hmm.
Like if you watch her other movies, like I could see a really good, like even like the way she dresses, it's very like Harley Quinnish already.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
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 like
yeah.
her like makeup and
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
I could see a really good like next movie for that. Like something serious, probably a love story still. But yeah, how do you tie that into like the main DC universe? You
You got to
can't.
start from scratch, right?
Yeah. But even still, it's like the tone will be different.
Hmm.
Even if you bring in like a dark Joker, but then he's in a kid movie, you're like, why is this Joker here? Like it doesn't match.
Yeah, that's not like. Are they? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what they're exactly planning. Is it going to be more kiddish, or is it going to be a little bit more dark
Yeah.
side? I don't know.
Yeah, like even with the Batman itself too. Remember that was so good.
Hmm.
And that was like a very mature
Yeah.
kind of feeling. Even the fact that they made the main killer like a serial killer.
Hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't kiddie at all. Yeah, I liked it. All right, yeah, anything else?
Were there any ones in DC that were kitty though? At least not in the
Yeah, of
Batman.
course. Yeah, 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 for sure. There was like uh oh, what's her name? The Harley Quinn one, Birds of Prey. It wasn't super kiddie, but it was like
Hmm.
I- it was
It
it
had
was
those
good. It was
elements.
mature
It
enough. It
was
was
yeah, yeah,
mature
yeah, yeah,
enough.
yeah. I think they're still gonna stick to the mature tone. I think they have to.
Yeah, they have to. That's their differentiating
Yeah,
point right
yeah,
now.
they have to.
I think
Or else it's
Suicide
always
Squad
gonna
1
be Suicide Squad. What?
and number 1 seemed kind of kiddie.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't
what.
show really violence. It was
Yeah,
like
that
very
was, but it didn't. It was like it
it was
didn't
a
do well,
fail.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
second one was better.
Yeah.
It's more
Yeah.
mature
Yeah.
too. So I think they have to stick to the mature tone. I think that they will. It's just something Warner Brothers sees that working. So I if
But
you
Warner Bros. Have always been mature. Like the first
yeah,
Batman's.
I think that that will be there. I don't think they can change it to kiddish. They can't do that.
Oh, speaking of mature, did you see the Blade firing of the director?
There's some stuff going on there, right?
So
Yeah,
the guy, the main actor, he was in like Green Book.
yeah, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, and he takes himself as a very serious actor. I was watching um his interview, and they were like, "Oh, why'd you choose Blade then?" You know, he's like, "Oh, I think I could do something really good with Blade, whatever, whatever." And if we watch the first Blade movies, they were amazing, right? So mature,
Hmm.
right? And then it seemed like they were trying to make it kiddie, and then he's like vetoing it. So they hired the Lovecraft Country or something, or
Oh yeah, okay.
director. Yeah, they went with a super dark tone. Yeah.
Mm,
So that'll be interesting to see going forward.
mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because I do like his acting skill, but it does suck if it became childish because like the first Blade was amazing. Yeah, hopefully they keep that up.
I guess when is that movie supposed to be out? A
I don't
couple
know,
of years.
2024 maybe.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. Although we did hear his voice in the end of Eternals. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyways,
Mm.
um, so to circle back on the thing I remembered, I was talking about global economics with someone, like how money is. This is like a small tangent. It should have ended with the last one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because I forgot, I just wanted to quickly close the loop on that. Um, they the person was like, how did you, like, because I was like, oh yeah, I like studied that in school, whatever, whatever. And they were like, you learned all this in school? Because I was explaining, like, Saudi money and how we can't go away from climate change because everything's made out of oil, all this. And then she's like, oh, you learned all that in school? And I was like, no, I just did continued reading, but you learned the principles in school.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big differentiating point.
Yeah, I think that's
A
the
lot of
thing.
people
A lot
don't.
of people just stop learning after school, but that was the
Yeah, yeah,
point, was to get you remind in the learning spirit and keep
yeah. And I
learning
feel
after.
like, because I feel like that's what school was, right? It's like, or
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to set a foundational framework to go forward, you know? And then it's funny that she's like, oh, you learned all that in school. It's like, how could I possibly learn all this in school? It's like, it's so contemporary, it's like so like to this time,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
But yeah, it's like, is the idea of like, I just learned the principles in school and then you just keep reading about other things and like how they fit. But yeah, like they don't tell you that at school. You ever hear of the unspoken curriculum of school?
Maybe vaguely, maybe,
I think because I mentioned it before. I read it in
probably.
like a textbook, like a long. No, but I didn't mention it on this podcast. I don't
No,
think.
no, maybe
But
you mentioned to me like off.
yeah, like a long time ago though,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
read it in the textbook, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what school's meant to teach you. Because
Mm-hmm.
literally in the textbook it said, you go to university and there's an unspoken curriculum of how to like learn, like how to show up on time, how to work with others,
Mm-hmm.
like all the aspects of school that you can apply to the real world.
Right.
And like we forget that school is kind of like the priming ground
Mm-hmm.
for real life.
Yeah.
But when you're in school, you think that that's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when we were in school, we thought that was everything because it's all we knew.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
You know,
course. Yeah.
and imagine going from like kindergarten, let's say 5 years old, to like you graduate at like 20, let's say your early 20s, right? So you do school that whole time. That's all you know. We actually only work for 30, 40 years
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like 1/3 of our adult or 1/3 of our life is spent in school. So of course we would think that that's where it ends. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, oh, that's all you need to know. Now go forward.
Right.
I feel like that's like in everything too, actually, now that I think of it. Like martial arts too, is like you get that black belt, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, but then there's this thing you can learn, there's this thing you can learn, but then people stop progressing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just feels like it's an endpoint versus a
Yeah,
continuation. But yeah.
yeah, for sure. But they say that too in martial arts as well. Like it's like the black belt is just the beginning of your journey. I've heard that my entire martial arts career, right? And it was almost like I was the only. I
Well,
know
they
one
said that
other
with
person,
graduation too, though, right?
but how many people listen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a lot of the things that I hear from graduation speeches. Is
Now it really begins, or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was at So from my first martial arts school, I know only one other person, no, two other people that continued on learning other styles aside from me, right? And they kept hammering that
Mm-hmm.
home, like as a black belt, it's like it was just the beginning of your journey. But then they kind of wanted you to stay at that one
But I
school, and
think,
it's
yeah,
like,
I think that's what it was. It's like
okay,
it's a continuation of the journey, but at the school. Like just keep coming
mm,
back.
but that's not how I took it.
No,
I was like,
exactly.
yeah, okay, I'm
Yeah,
done. And then they just kept roping you on with like, your next degree will teach you this, and it's like, but you don't actually know everything,
yeah. Hmm.
you know?
It becomes very tribe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Only,
tribal. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. And but the originators of that school had multiple black belts themselves,
Hmm.
right? And then they, from their multiple black belts, they created this one style, which is what I learned. And the fact that, like, why would I not mirror? Like, it's like, do what I do, not as I say.
Mm-hmm.
Most people do as they say. Like, most people, they kind of do what they're told or something. They kind of put them in. I'm trying to figure this part out because it's like, you showed me through your footsteps that you also got multiple black belts. So to me, I'm like, I should also get multiple black belts. But then like, you don't need to go anywhere else. Like, stay with us. And I was like, but you didn't even do that. It's sort of like the Buddha thing. Remember, you're like, how did Buddha hit enlightenment? He went through all that suffering. Then he created the school. He's like, nobody will suffer. We'll just straight meditate.
Yeah,
And his
yeah.
kids were like, bro, I need to learn the same way you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we like, it's like a generational thing, right? You suffer, so you try and make your kids not suffer. But then
It's
in
it's
not suffering,
it's like this. I think it's like, yeah, what you're saying is true. It's like I learn all these different things, so to bring it all together is this one thing,
yes. Yeah.
right? So you're saying that you don't have to go through all that,
Yes. Yes.
right? But then to me, to be really understanding of what you did, I have to go through all that to really, I have to experience it in order to understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not knowledge plus experience equals wisdom.
Mhm.
So I need to walk your path
Mhm.
to know if that's
I think that's
the
the thing
correct
that's
path.
always like, you're trying to be helpful because you've created this thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
make it
you've
easier
figured
for.
it out so that you can help others or make it easy for others.
Hmm.
But you like that's you feel like you're doing the right thing, but it's they won't actually understand it unless they actually go through
No.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And there's a reason why only they went through it because it's a hard path.
Hmm.
Like them having multiple black belts, like going through that journey myself was like, whoa, this is difficult because you have to
Hmm.
relearn everything
Yeah.
under a different style. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't kick like this, we kick like this. We don't grab like this, we grab like this, even though you're like, okay, but my base foundation has taught me something
Hmm.
else,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
you're trying to teach me something new. So it's like, if you want to learn the style, okay, you have to do it like we do, you know?
Right.
That's why I think Bruce Lee is the best like philosopher or like embodiment of his philosophy or the style they created. Because everyone thinks that Jeet Kune Do, what he created, is like the way of the intercepting fist, right? And there are moves that they teach in JKD, but if you read his actual book, so like I see all these JKD teachers online, right?
Hmm.
And they're all teaching like the same kind of stuff that he was teaching, which is like kick out the leg and like just like I don't know, like jab like with the backhand, basic stuff, like uniform stuff,
Hmm.
right? But if you read his actual book, he says, I have the way of no way. It's like you have to go build your own way by testing out all these methods and then figure out what works for you.
Right.
But it's almost like they didn't read that part.
But did he created the school or other people created the
Yeah, yeah.
school?
No, he created the school.
Okay.
Because he created the school because he needed a place to make money. He was actually really broke when he died. Didn't
Hmm.
know this. He made like no money as a martial arts teacher. He was actually making more money as an actor, and that's why he kept doing it. It's like,
Okay.
I need the money. I'm in debt, you know. But anyways, like that's a side note.
No, I'm just trying to think like
Like did they dogmatize him or did he dogmatize himself? Is
yeah,
that what you mean?
or it's like because he had the freedom to make money outside of the martial arts
Mhm.
that he could say those things because
Yes. Oh, dude, that's so funny that you say. All right, so parallel to this, um, I wrote this thing yesterday about like in the beginning you have to say yes to everything,
hmm.
but then when your skill is good enough, your real power comes from saying no,
Yeah.
right? So like if you know how to do a bunch of different things, then you know what you can cut out in order to save yourself on time. You're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I
Hmm.
don't need to subject myself to that. But it's sort of like, that thing too. He wasn't tied to a martial art, so he could study all these different styles. He was getting good at these, like he was supported foundationally through his movies.
Hmm.
That he didn't need to rely on his dojo to make money.
Yeah.
And that allowed him to be like, yeah, just learn every style.
Hmm.
But then what you're saying is like these martial arts teachers, they make money off of one style, so they have to codify it and be like, we're teaching Bruce Lee style.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because that's their livelihood.
Right, right. But even Bruce Lee himself would be
Hmm.
like, I did, which is actually kind of confusing because his main teacher, Dan Inosanto, he teaches like a very, he teaches JKD, but it's like, but Bruce Lee said that there is no way. There is no way to, there's no like one way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so why are you claiming that there's the one way? But it's probably the commercialization too. It's like,
Yeah, maybe he. Yeah, there's like not everybody necessarily would agree, right? Like he can,
mm,
right? It's like I have my own point of view.
which is open in JKD as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mind blow. It's like what, like the way of no way. But isn't that in itself a way?
True.
It's, I don't know. It's paradoxical.
Yeah, yeah. But life is paradoxical at times. So.
That's why he was trying to do it, though. That's why I'm like Bruce Lee was like the best
Mm-hmm.
philosopher. A lot of people will say like he stole his style. Like a lot of his philosophies were taken from other people,
Okay.
right? But it's like, but don't we all do that? Like every every innovator learned from something.
Yeah, we subconsciously pick things up, right?
Yeah, right.
Sometimes you don't even know where it comes from, or we don't remember where it came from.
Yeah. Or maybe he was doing the thing too. He's like, no, this works for me. I'm gonna take this.
Yeah.
And then people just associate with him, like, oh, he stole it. It's like, no, he's using it as an application, just like he said he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take what is necessary, discard what's not, and then add what's uniquely your own. You could do that for everything in life.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way humans grow, right? Like.
And that's why he made it his primary philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's real growth. It's like, no, this works for me. This doesn't work for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, I feel like I could do it better this way if I just add my spin on it. Yeah. Anyways, just side tangent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing I wanted to get into associated with superheroes. What time we at?
1 hour.
Okay, cool. All right, it's not too bad. Um, the thing I wanted to get into is I've been watching a lot of More Plates, More Dates. I know in like our group
Oh.
chat, we've been talking about it a lot. But this relates to the superhero stuff because they're so jacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in his channel, so he is he sells supplements and he's a bodybuilder and he knows he's like taken these things himself.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's doing is he's just like shining a light on this thing he calls like natty or not. Like, are you natural or are you not natural, right? And then he suggests what you could be taking to get that big. Um, and I wanted to say that to go back to Dave Bautista and The Rock, the reason why I like where Dave Bautista is going is The Rock has pigeonholed himself into being a giant person,
Mm-hmm.
right? We know The Rock as like playing these superhero roles because he's so big, but he's getting old. And then what More Plates, More Dates is saying is the only way you can sustain that is through like steroids. But steroids are not good for your body because they like tax your heart. Like they make your body work on overdrive in order to heal itself, right?
Right.
And what I've noticed, and you'll see in Glass Onion, is Dave Bautista's body is not like it once was.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely like getting off the roids. And that's why I like where his career's going because he's utilizing his acting skills and his comedy skills in order to not pigeonhole himself and to always have to inject,
Right.
supplements into his
Yeah.
body,
Mm-hmm.
unlike The Rock, which is, that's, you can't hold that forever.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't, not we, I wouldn't be surprised. And also from what I see from More Place, More Dates is, if The Rock just suddenly dies because his body just can't, no, but like not in like a, like we want him to die, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
actually,
Yeah. Yeah. I
actually
understand
like,
what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because you're just pushing it way too hard at your age. He's going to have to slow down. And one thing that, because he was talking about for Zac Efron's obviously on some juice because he's so big for this new role to play a wrestler. And he's like, how long can you do that for?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just going to keep chasing roids in order to like fill these roles
Right.
at the detriment to your health? You know?
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's why I like Dave Bautista. Like the fact that he said no to Drax, he's like, well, if I just do this, then I'm just gonna have to
Type.
be that
Yeah.
strong guy every time, you know. But now he's more just like big. If you see him in this new movie, he's not like jacked.
Hmm.
He's big. He's big, but he's not like drag. He's not like the Rock big.
Hmm.
He's just like a big guy,
Right,
you know?
right, right.
Yeah. And another person too, like Daniel Craig. Remember when he played James Bond?
Hmm.
You'll see in this movie, he looks old. He's like, oh yeah, you are not James Bond anymore. Like he's not keeping up that role.
Right.
But I think that's good though. It's like
Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
time
yeah.
and place, and
Hmm.
then you know, yeah. But one thing I did want to highlight is because we talked about Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He believes that Henry Cavill's natural, and his like. So this is what I thought was pretty fascinating. The 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 sign for somebody who takes steroids is if you're really jacked, but you're also super tight. So like if you're like big and you're like super cut, you can't do that naturally because in order
Hmm.
to get big, you have to gain fat, right? Because that's how you're gonna get like weight, right? And he said like he was showing like all these scenes where Henry Cavill's actually not cut. He's more smooth.
Hmm.
Right? He's big for sure, but he's more smooth, which suggests that like he was on the natch, you know? And then
I
like
think
the
that's what
behind the scenes
he.
photo.
I think I read that he said that somewhere too.
Yeah, but people don't believe him because like, oh, you're so jet. Like even Wob, remember, like in
Mm.
the chat, he was like,
Well,
"You're
it's hard
saying
to
like,
believe when you see everything else around you being juiced, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
if, but like I think if he, I think he came saying that he didn't do any juicing.
yeah, right."
So I
And the
think
way
that
he looked is
I
like,
don't. There's a lot. I think people that are juicing are not saying that, right?
I don't know. I'm only looking up more plates, more dates.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting because like he looks at the behind the scenes photo
Mm.
where the green screen is, and he's like, look at his body. It's just big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not like cut,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Like he was. I know. I remember. Like he was. They were like just before the shot workout, and then do the shot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for
There's a
sure.
lot
And
of that
that's
too.
that's what more plates, more dates was saying. Like when you see them on screen, they're dehydrated for that role because they need to suck out all the water to make you like as tight
Hmm.
as possible. And like, yeah, they just got like a pump in, right?
Hmm.
But like when he was like in the men's health, the behind the scenes photo, he's like he looks like a normal guy,
Hmm.
just big, right?
Right, right,
And I
right.
thought
Like he's like
that's
a tall
fascinating.
guy, right? I think.
Yeah, 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 exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
So I thought that was cool. Um, yeah, but it's cool too because it's like it lets you know that some body types are not natural, and then like
Hmm.
what is achievable and not
Yeah, I
achievable.
think that's yeah, that's very what that's also what people get fooled by. It's like, oh,
That's the point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can. I
What
think I can
one
do
thing,
that. Don't you don't know?
and you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one thing that he was saying is like for people that are roided, I'll do the Immortals guy because he's the most obvious one who went from like fat to shredded,
Hmm.
right? And then he was just saying in his men's health video, like, oh, I'm just eating chicken and broccoli all the time. So then people watch that and they're like, oh, okay, if I just eat chicken and broccoli, go to the gym, I'm for sure gonna look like that guy. And then that's why more plates, more dates comes in. And he's like, no, he's roided. Like
Right.
it's, and then he talks about like what kind of cycles it
Hmm.
is, and like,
Hmm.
and also like there's, I didn't know this too until I started watching it. There's actual stuff you can take to make yourself like suck the water from your skin to make yourself more tight.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like stuff like that,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
He must definitely be taking for those scenes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just thought it was fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. There's another thing about that, but it slipped my mind as well. Okay, I guess last thing, do you um you say you didn't really know too much about the Twitter thing, but I thought that was
Hmm.
kind of fascinating, like what's been going on with the link off.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
But I only read it when you sent it at that time.
Yeah, but then you said it got retracted.
Yeah, because the latest was that it was removed. They're like on their Twitter support, it was removed. Whatever they had said.
So if anyone's wondering, it's like you can't link off to other platforms except for Twitter.
I
Was
wonder if
allegedly what it
it's. I
was.
wonder if it's like these are just how you word your policies and if there was some
Oh, it just like confuses people.
if there's a
Just
misdirection or misunderstanding, then probably it's removed for that reason. Maybe it'll come back with a different kind of
right.
way of wording it. So it's not like it doesn't. I'm
Yeah.
not like it's not for like if you're. I think it's like if it's. It would make sense if it's all you're doing is just posting links to your other social medias versus actually posting on Twitter.
Oh, it's like you're using it
Is
as
it?
a promo platform
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay.
Like I'm just saying. Like I don't know if it was that, but like if there was an issue in the wording of the way it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sounded, and if that
It,
was.
yeah. It's like the storm of the century that we brought up in the
Mhm.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Like somebody took it out of context or like, because even when I heard it,
Mhm.
when somebody sent me the link, I was like, that doesn't sound like a smart business move.
Mhm.
So then like I sent it to you and I was like, is this real? And then you're like, no, what I'm seeing is like he retracted it. So it's like maybe you're right. Maybe it was just like it blew out of proportion, you
Yeah,
know?
maybe. Yeah, that's probably why they removed it, right? It's just
Yeah, yeah.
the writing of the policy was incorrect or just
Right.
misunderstood. Yeah.
How do you feel about Elon Musk and his Twitter stuff? Like it's just all over. All right, so this is the thing for me.
Mhm.
It's like it's all over the news, like not all over the news, all over the cultural conversation.
Yeah.
All I hear is like,
On
oh, he's
social
ruining
media, yeah.
Twitter. Right, right. He's ruining Twitter. He's ruining. But even I got that email, I got that article sent to me without social media. Just somebody sent me that article,
Mhm.
and it's like, it's like, one, who cares? He could do whatever he wants with his platform, and two, you don't even use Twitter, bro. That's my like biggest gripe when people are like, oh, he's so intent on ruining Twitter. I didn't want to say this, but my first thought was, do you use Twitter? I don't know any like who cares? Do
Mhm.
whatever you want, I was thinking of it more like, oh, that's a weird business move. So why would you do that? I want to know the strategy behind that selection. I don't care what you're doing with Twitter.
Because I was
I
trying
don't
to
even use
find,
Twitter.
yeah, I was trying to find the actual like, what did they exactly say versus what other people are saying. But that
Right.
tweet was removed, so they've already scrapped it.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, why do we have such a vested interest on things we don't even know or care about?
Yeah, most people don't really use Twitter, and and actually, most people just use
Insane.
Twitter and don't tweet anything, anyways. So,
Right? And what was the thing that I think I
like
saw
me.
was like, yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, you use Twitter, but you use it like as an information source. So you don't care like what policies they switch or whatever. Um, I forgot the statistic, but it was like a very low number of people in the US actually use Twitter. So why do we care what he's doing with it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
makes no sense to me.
yeah.
It would be different if it's like he's doing something with TikTok or like Reels, Instagram.
Hmm.
That's where most people spend. I think most people spend their
Yeah,
time.
most people spend most of the time on those things. I'm very like even my Twitter usage is less because it's just getting information. I
Yeah,
just see
that's all
the
it is.
CP24 or whatever the
Yeah.
thing I'm looking at, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. We
You're gonna
just
spend
we
more time on TikTok or
yeah.
Instagram, the reels and stuff. That you spend more time looking at those.
Yeah. It's almost like we want to just get upset at something,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
but really who
Yeah.
cares?
But like, hey, with any kind of acquisition, it's always gonna be messy at first. Just let the dust settle,
Yeah,
and we'll
true,
see
true,
where it
true.
goes.
Yeah. And like even if it goes south and nobody uses it anymore, it's like
It was his money. It's
yeah.
like it
And also
doesn't.
we weren't using it in the first place, so it's like, okay,
It's,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. But then Neil deGrasse Tyson, I sent you that thing.
Hmm.
And then people were getting so mad in the feed. This is like weird. I've never seen that before. Like I just like shared Neil deGrasse Tyson's comment about Elon, where it's like, don't forget he made electric cars normalized, which is true, and his advancements into space. I'm like, yeah, let's look at those things. Who cares about this Twitter thing? And the
Hmm.
people were so mad, going back and forth, and it's like, why do you care more about a platform that nobody really cares about, whereas you should care about the things that are actually making real change,
Hmm.
which is like e-vehicles. Like Canada even said that we're not they're trying to keep with their timeline of like no more um
Yeah, I think a mandate of
coal-powered
certain
cars.
percentage of EVs sold. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's a push in the right direction. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird. Like, why do people care so much?
just a billionaire
Yeah.
to be mad at. I think that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's
I
like
feel that.
I feel like this is the easiest thing because it's like even though like Jeff Bezos is there, but everybody uses Amazon. It's like, can you get mad at him?
When you said easiest thing, I realized something. You know what it is? It's like if you don't want to, if you want to seem smarter than just talking about the weather.
Hmm.
You know when you meet somebody in the hall and you're like, "Oh, it's cold out, eh?" Like, yeah, it's cold. It's cold. Where they want to be like, "Oh, I know a little bit more." Elon Musk, eh? He's doing some crazy stuff at Twitter. Yeah, you're right. Elon wants to do some crazy stuff over Twitter, right? It's the exact same
Yeah,
parallel,
yeah, yeah.
but they're just doing it in a way that's like, I'm smart.
Hmm.
I'm keeping up with the news. It's not just about weather, even though that's like it falls in the same vein. Like the weather will be what it'll be, bro.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Twitter will be what it'll be.
yeah.
Like we,
I mean, social media's come and go. It doesn't. Is it a big
yeah.
deal?
No, it's not. Yeah,
Like platforms come and go.
yeah,
Like
yeah. You know,
where,
it's fast.
hmm
But
like Vine. Like Vine went away.
yeah, yeah, totally. Wasn't that like a Twitter, um,
No,
like
Vine. No, Periscope.
ad?
Wasn't Periscope
Was Vine? I swear Vine was a Twitter thing too. Like it's like a addition, just like Periscope.
affiliate of?
Yeah, something like that. I think it
Maybe.
was.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but it came and go as well.
Yeah.
So who cares? Like nobody's like bashing the CEO of Vine for making it go under.
Hmm.
It's like we all just want to talk about someone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did everyone forget about Apple's social media?
No, what was that? What? They had one?
They had one, yeah.
Oh, see, there you go. Like, oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I remember
They had
that
one?
one. Yeah, they had one.
What was it called?
It worked with iTunes.
Oh, that's cool.
I think
All
it
right.
was trying to compete with Facebook in a way, but it wasn't going to work.
Mm.
So there's a failure.
No, it's like Google Pages or something like that. They tried to make like everybody have profiles just like Facebook, but on Google. Do you
Hmm.
remember that?
No, I don't remember
Yeah,
that one.
I think it's like called Google Plus Pages or something like that. Yeah, but these things just come and go. It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, what time are we at? I just want to say one thing about Jack Dorsey.
hour and 16.
Okay, cool. Um, have you saw anything about Jack Dorsey?
No,
No. Or any interviews with him?
recently, no.
No, no, not recently, just like before. No, right?
Not really. I've only seen like the in the Congress thing, clips of that.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I saw his interview with Lex Friedman, and he is like a really spiritually like in tune guy.
It looks like that.
Yeah, right. And it's weird to me because it's like Steve Jobs, Jack
Mm-hmm.
Dorsey.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Why are you know what I mean? Like why are these people kind of like hippies
Mm-hmm.
almost? Like what is it? What is it that tech? It's almost like they see tech as the great connector, you know? And then there are people like in Congress that see like tech as the like a tool to be used. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like Jack Dorsey, um, Steve Jobs. They see tech as a way to unify people.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Elon Musk too, you know, with his like SpaceX, whatever. And then you see like other people who look at it more like a utility,
Mm-hmm.
like government officials, right? They're like, we need to regulate this, blah blah blah. And it's funny because
Well,
it's almost like that's
but
the
you gotta understand
war.
like where the government's coming from. Government is not like the one just figuring out and saying that they want to regulate it. It's people that are coming to
True, yeah,
government
fair.
to
Okay.
like this is the issues. This is what's causing. I think we should create regulations. That's how government works,
True,
right?
okay. But okay, for sure, for sure.
So
I just thought it was
yeah, yeah. So the government asks them to come to speak about their thing and
or
asks.
even all right, aside from all right, not government, what about like commerce people, like marketers trying to sell things,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
using it as a utility. So like
Yeah.
it's interesting with Jack Dorsey. his viewpoints at the end,
Mm-hmm.
when I saw him like on Joe Rogan, right? They weren't aligned with the platform itself, but he wasn't in control of the platform anymore.
Yeah.
That's why he stepped down
Right.
as Twitter CEO,
Twitter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's like it's almost like there's this other battle going on of like
When you become too big, you can't control it. You're not you're not the one in charge
yeah,
of it anymore. Or like he got it to that level where it's kind of the same thing happened to Apple with Steve Jobs in the
yeah.
beginning, right? When
And they
he
kicked him out,
and they
yeah.
kicked him out, right? So it's
And then
like,
they brought him back as the visionary.
but so many years later, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. But that's what I think it's like there's something to tech that's like we see the benevolence of it, but it can be easily misused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're
But you're in that kind of world, right? There's always going to be
yeah.
people trying to figure out a way to misuse it, right?
Yeah, 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 totally. Or to commercialize
Like,
it.
yeah, like Jack Dorsey's thinking was never to be able to misuse it. His vision was the connection to people, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. Or
And
Facebook too, right?
yeah,
Just wanting to connect people.
yeah. But then it becomes where it's like, as a company, how do you survive? Like
No, yeah, exactly.
once you
Yeah.
become a public company, and then you got to start thinking in different ways, right?
You need money all the time.
I mean, you're paying so many people, all your like engineers, like a lot of money. You got to keep doing that, right? So how do you do that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, for
Right.
sure. And I think it's like the freedom to walk away or say no, like we were talking about earlier in the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. Like if you make or like yeah, about Bruce Lee, right? If you make your money elsewhere, you can just let this thing be benevolent, right? It's like when you're chasing monetization for it to survive,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problems come in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It would, it seems idealistic, but it would be cool to see a world where we progress things because they are good for humanity versus
Right.
like good for a select few. Because like, what would that look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm excited for you to see Glass Onion. That's kind of like that's kind of one of the themes in Glass
Okay.
Onion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's all I got. Well, there's other things, but
For
next
time's
time.
sake, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts?
No, not much of a storm. So
I know it's sad, right? I actually I woke up this morning and ran to the window. I was like, oh, come on, let it be crazy. And it was
only
not. And I
thing I
was like,
didn't like
well,
was like it's because of the flash freeze. It like trying to get into your car becomes because it's like all on the
mm,
doors. It's like frozen, like all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
edge points because I had to drive into work in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My car is underground, so
Well, now, no, no, no. Once you get home, I put it underground, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I
when
know, I
you're,
know.
I'm at work,
It's like, and then yeah, you gotta
then
you're like
that's the
pried
only
open
thing
and
I don't
stuff.
like dealing with is like all the ice and stuff too. You gotta like scrape it off or like stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I don't have to scrape it off. But
Can you do like this? Like, I don't know if they have this implemented, but like if there's a way to like warm the outside of the car a little bit so it melts the ice, that'd be cool.
yeah, they'd have to have like warm. I don't know what to call it. Like some like heating panels or something
Yeah,
on the
like that'd be
outside.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or just at like the outer frame where you can open it so that you
Hmm.
turn on it just melts a little
Yeah, yeah,
bit,
yeah,
makes
yeah,
it easier. Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah. Only thing I have was the internal heating, so that does help
Help a bit,
melt
but yeah,
outside some of the things. But yeah.
but
Oh,
not too.
yeah. That's
Like you wanted to
what's
like
yeah,
prying
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
open.
yeah.
Yeah, like, oh man.
Yeah. But that's at least once you like having an underground garage is good because then it all melts off, anyways.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, actually, wait, before we end, I forgot it was Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
just
yeah.
it doesn't right? Doesn't it seem like just like a day? Like it's funny, like when you're a kid, you like all you think about is like, it's coming.
Right,
Oh,
right,
it's like
right,
my
right.
presents, whatever. I totally forgot. Like I was like, oh yeah, I have some stuff. Like that's why I had to kind of rush this podcast. I'm like, oh, I gotta get to those things.
Mm.
But they're more like tasks now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like I gotta wrap that, gotta buy that. You know, like you hit this point when you get old enough that
Excuse
it's
me.
like less about the present aspect and more about like the giving aspect. It
Hmm.
becomes like a chore, like a to-do list. You're like, oh man, I gotta get that done.
Hmm.
It's like taking away the spirit of Christmas or something. Or maybe that's just me. Some people like love doing that.
Some people like giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite holiday? Or we'll end on this. What's your favorite holiday?
Holiday.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really have a favorite holiday.
Tara asked me this, and I was like, this is a tough question. So you don't have one? Like you
No,
don't like, or you have to pick one. Like what's like the closest? You're like, oh, this is cool.
no, I don't think of it like that. It's hard
Like
to say because I don't
you could
think I
say like
have a.
technically I said Family Day, but that's like Ontario based because you get that day off and you don't have to do anything.
Right.
I was saying Halloween at first
Oh, right,
because
but it's not really a holiday for us. Hmm.
like you know what I mean? Like some like what's your favorite like?
Independence Day, but we don't have Independence Day.
Oh, we have like Canada Day
Yeah, but
technically.
it's Canada. It's Independence Day, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
It's like Will Smith's movie, One Against the Aliens.
yeah, true, true. How American. Do you like New Year's?
That's cool. I mean, yeah, New Year's. Just I don't really go out much, right? So
I know that's what I mean. It's like there's nothing because then it's like chores. I don't know.
I can say seasons. Like I'm excited to wait for summer again. Like, is that
I
a
get allergies in summer. I was like, it's not that great for me.
right? So like for me, I prefer the summer. Like I like the summer. So
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
right. It's like when you're the ending of winter. So let's say
Yeah,
I'll say
rebirth,
yeah. What is that? Easter.
winter solstice, Easter.
Is that
Wait,
Easter?
what? No, Easter's
At the end of winter, right?
yeah, but that's still cold. It's not like this.
Or it's the celebration that winter is coming to an end, right?
Oh, okay, okay. So that's what you
Sure, yeah.
okay.
Spring and summer right around the corner.
But I associate Easter with like going to church
Yeah, I
and an
don't.
Easter bunny, and you gotta get chocolates. I like any holiday where you don't have to give something. Like New Year's. New Year's is kind of cool, but also at the same time, it's like New Year, new me, and that's like, what do you mean New Year, new you?
Yeah, we just say like I think I remember Curb Your Enthusiasm where it's like um you say that, but like
It's
you'll
the
just
same
do
day.
that for November. Or sorry, November. You'll just do that
January.
for January and then
Yeah.
February you're back to normal.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you just do it now, bro? Like, I don't know. That's how I feel about
Yeah,
this.
that's how I thought too, yeah.
It's like, why you gotta wait, bro?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just
I'll
get
wait
it
till
done.
January. Like you could just do it right now. Start right now.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go with no holidays for you. Yeah, I'm in your boat actually. Just I'm more preferential to holidays where you don't have to give something. Because that's just like, man,
I don't think
it's a
any
lot of work.
holidays I'm giving. It's not like that in.
Christmas.
No, I know, but we don't. I don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, but technically, don't you have to now?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's me. So now you're like roped into Christmas.
yeah.
But generally, yeah, you don't celebrate Christmas. I don't know. It feels so. Yeah, it just feels commercial to me now. Especially when you know it's the worst when somebody gets you something and you're like, oh god, I get you something, you know. But then thankfully, Tara's like, no, you don't need it. I was like, all right, I'm blaming you. I was just not gonna get that person something. Just like, because yeah, I don't know. All right,
Mhm.
anyways, till next time. I guess we'll do this again New Year's Day or Eve as well, because it's a week from
Oh,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have more to say about New Year, New Me,
Hmm.
2023. Yeah, all right, till next time. Take it easy.
Crazy.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, fish.
Peace.